live. Hi, everyone. How are you?
No.
Good. I am so excited that we could talk about your project Hot Water. And yeah, I think basically a good place to start is first, I'm interested, Cassie and Miles, how did you two meet? And how did you I want to hear about the inspiration of this project, but I thought we could start with you telling how you met and start collaborating on projects
Yeah,
together.
I actually saw Cassie in Candyman, and I
Ah,
thought she had such a cool presence, and I knew it was shot in Chicago, where of course
yeah.
we both live. And a short time after that, I was thinking about putting together a short, and I remembered the actress from Candyman, so I went and I looked her up, and I saw she had a website, and I reached out to her. I sent her an email, and I said, "Hey, this is what I've got this project I want to do, and I was wondering if you'd be open to checking it out," and she was, and we did that, and it, went pretty well. And I think she figured out I wasn't axe murderer, and so and off to the
Was
races,
that
we
was
started
that
working on
eggs?
projects together. So
Was that eggs,
yeah,
the first
yeah,
project you worked on?
right.
Okay. Yeah. And Cassie, I was telling them before you got on that I just thought it was so trippy. And actually it kind of seemed a little Lynchian to me, like kind of in that weird like Lynch world. And so yeah, I thought it was really cool, which makes
Oh,
me
you
really,
watched it?
yeah, because it
Oh,
was
okay, I
it
missed that.
was
Okay,
it
cool.
was linked in the Seed and Spark page. So
Yeah,
I was
the
like,
GoFundMe.
oh yeah, yeah. But Amy, I'm curious, how did you get involved with this particular project? Yeah.
Yeah, so I met Cassie. I was second unit DP on a feature 2 summers ago, Harula Rose film called All Happy
Yes.
Families. Yeah,
Yeah.
Harula's awesome. So that's how I met Cassie. And then, yeah, just a little while back, she emailed me the script and I loved it. So yeah, I said I was in.
Oh, that's so cool. And then
And I've also
yeah.
I just wanted to add, I've also been a huge fan of Amy's for a long time. Like years and years ago, Abe Martinez, who's another DP in town, or he was in town at that point,
Yeah.
was like, you gotta check out Amy. Like if you ever need a DP, you gotta check her out. So like I feel like I might have even reached out at that point. I don't even remember, but I've been
Yeah.
following her work for a really long time. So
I didn't know that. I love Abe, so that's awesome.
yeah.
That's so cool. And so I'd love to the story seems really interesting. Just like the image that you have on the Seed and Spark page, I'm like, what is this about? Oh, I'd love to hear the inspiration. It seems like it's very timely. And so yeah, talk about the inspiration of this story, and then maybe you could kind of talk a little bit of what it's about. I don't know if Miles,
Yeah, I
you
feel
want to
like
talk?
it truly is more like it was more Miles' idea originally, so I feel like maybe
Okay.
he should at least start.
Well, after
Okay.
after we did eggs, I
Yeah.
kept thinking about what could we do as a follow-up. And because eggs was all silent, I thought, well, let's do something that's really dialogue heavy and it's really based in character and more traditional. And I put together kind of like a rough version of it. And Cassie and I went out. We actually went to go see David Fincher's new movie, The Killer. And we
Ah,
were talking
yeah.
about it, and I mentioned the project, and so I sent it to her, and she, of course, immediately read it and thought it was really cool. And we just started having ideas about, things that we could add to it, and so we just started kind of developing it more, and just yeah, we just kind of went through the process of just figuring it out.
Yeah. And
And I
then,
don't know if we
yep.
can say like for legal reasons or not. It's loosely based on a verdict that was difficult to swallow during the
Mm.
pandemic. So I'm done all of it. Like
Yeah. I mean, are we talking about Roe v. Wade? Is that, or
no, that
no,
was there
no,
were so many. It was such an
yeah.
emotional time.
Okay. That's the
Um,
one that sticks with me. But
yeah.
I mean, but you can't,
I mean,
I
that's kind
just
of
don't know.
that's kind of the whole point is that, there have been so many instances of corruption. We
yeah.
witness police murdering unarmed civilians and brutalizing
Yeah.
protesters, and there are these judges who are supposed to be impartial, and work in
Mhm.
service of, and they're working in service of political ideologies, and they're favoring corporations, and they're stripping people of their rights. And so you just, it's like there are examples of this at every level of our institutions, and from a local to state to a federal. And all of this contributes to an unrelenting feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All walking around trying to live our lives while carrying this awareness on our backs every day. There's like no release from it. It's only further
Mhm.
piling on, and it feels like we've gotten used to living like this.
I know.
And I think it's just founded for women in a lot of ways, and people of color. I mean, it's just whatever layer you are in that. It's just,
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, in a lot of ways, the project was kind of created out of a need for a catharsis from this feeling,
Mhm.
and I think we both feel like right now we need stories that remind us that it doesn't have to be that way, that we don't have to submit to feeling helpless,
Mm.
about the way things are right now, and that people are more powerful than our institutions. And we feel
Yeah.
that there's an appetite for stories like that among
Mhm.
film goers, and that's something that's not being met.
Right, right. And Amy, what appealed to you to this script? You said you were really excited about it. Like, can you talk about, what drew you to their story?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like the topic is again like very timely, just with
Yeah.
everything that's happening right now. But there's also like a level of like humor which I'm always like drawn to. And then a little bit of like mystery, a little bit of horror, which I'm a little less familiar with, but like excited to explore. So it
Mm.
was kind of like a little bit of things that I'm comfortable with and not comfortable with. And I think like just being able to collaborate with these two to kind of expand on that, is just like really exciting to me.
Yeah. And so, Miles, your background is in like comic book
Right? Writing
storytelling.
comic books, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I think comic books, I think superheroes and people
Right.
that, are fighting against corruption. And so, like, is that kind of, can you talk about your work a little bit with comic
Yeah, I
books
mean,
and how
honestly,
that led to the story a little
yeah, I
bit?
mean, it's
Yeah.
actually interesting because I've really stayed away from a lot of, in the time that I've written comics, I've stayed away from a lot of like superhero archetypes and
Okay.
those kind of
Yeah.
stories. But I find that
Mhm.
as I get older, that I'm kind of dipping my toes in those waters around issues that are relevant. I did a book
Yes.
called Dark Fang that's about a vampire trying to stop climate change. Because if you
Mhm.
think about it, if climate change destroys the world, vampires lose their food supply, which is human beings. So it's really in the best
Oh,
interest
right.
of
Yeah.
immortal beings to make sure that the earth is healthy. So it's like with something like that, it's kind of a fun way of addressing something that's very serious, very real, using
Mhm.
genre, and having fun. And I suppose in a way, Hot Water is kind of along similar lines. I mean, you know, it's basically two people in a room, so
Mhm.
obviously there's not, a lot of pyrotechnics or anything like that. But I
Mhm.
think one of the things that became appealing to us the more that we kind of dug into it is exploring the drama between the characters. What happens when power dynamics shift?
yeah.
You have somebody who's a judge, who's powerful, who's just sort of insulated from accountability,
Mhm.
and they just live in this curated existence. What happens when all of their power is stripped away? And then you have the other person, the kidnapper, who's just a normal, powerless human being. What
Mm.
happens when that person has all the power?
Mhm.
So I thought that was like really meaty stuff to dig into on top of,
Yeah.
but at the same time, not being preachy. And, my big thing is I always want to have fun, and be
Mhm.
entertaining and
Mhm.
dig into things like humor, but also with a nutritional value as well.
Mhm. And Cassie, so you would be, I'm assuming starring in this in
Yes.
some
Yeah.
way. Yeah. I mean, can you talk a little bit about your character at all or
Yeah, for sure. I
yeah.
mean, I think, short films we're lucky if people watch them. So it's not like I'm really giving a lot away by talking about it.
Yeah.
But so this character is just like a normal woman who has a job in this short. The idea is kind of like she's a real estate agent and she has access to this house that is unoccupied at the moment. And so she's just going about her day, and then all of a sudden you see her switch into this entirely different persona. So you see like a brief snippet of her life as it is normally, and then she switches and you see this other world that she exists in. And and I think it's just really empowering for women in general, just to see. I love watching movies like that. Like I love when women control and like when the power dynamic shifts and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, that's so great. And can you talk about like where you all are at in the process, and where, like, I know you're raising money currently through Seed and Spark, or is this a GoFundMe?
It's a GoFundMe.
Sorry, I don't know why. I've been doing so many interviews lately, so I'm like Seed and Spark and, you know, but GoFundMe. Okay. So you're raising, you want to raise 11,000, and so yeah, where are you at in the process, and where would this money like help, like in making this film?
Well, I'll start and then Miles, you want to finish? So basically I think we have around 2,100, something around there. Is that right?
I think it's like 26, 28.
26. Okay. 26. Oh, you think 26, 28. Okay.
It's actually, I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if it says 26, 23, which isn't that much. You were very close, but that's what I'm looking at right now.
I won in the best without going over though.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
No, way off. Yeah, so we're not quite there yet. We had kind of like an initial influx of donations, and then, you know, it's hard. It's just really hard, but I think the main thing I want to convey to people is that it's so expensive to pay people even remotely fairly, because there's so many people involved in the creation of a film project. And I think a lot of us, which I know everyone you interview says this, but like a lot of us do this because it's our passion, and it's, you know, you make all of these sacrifices, but it's nice to be able to have people, you know, get paid at least half of what they're worth.
For sure. And
so yeah, obviously we need sound, we need lighting, we need to pay Amy, we've got to pay our actors. We have a really exciting actor loosely attached to play the judge.
Okay. And so you can't announce that yet, right?
I can. I mean, if he bails, then I guess, you know, we'll find
we can keep it under wraps right now, but basically, yeah, I think this is such an exciting project, and and
are going to be a lot for this too, because it's really like there are a lot of graphic images, and a lot of it will be sound motivated, and it's just going to be, you know, we want it to be really cool and try to make it as visually interesting as it can be, because it is just two people in a room talking for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about trying to find you know, the dynamic in the mundane, you know, and elevating past just people standing across from each other talking, and just, we have a lot of ideas for just like visual things.
Yes. Okay.
For like moments, so that it's much more dynamic and much more engaging, and it's not just, we want to command the audience's attention.
Yeah, of course. And Amy, I'm actually very curious if you have any, like, well, I'm sure this is all a collaboration between you guys, but if you have any visual like ideas or inspiration for how you're going to shoot this film.
Yeah, well, Miles and I are still trying to get together our little lookbook, just kind of thinking of different references and things. But yeah, like Miles kind of said, like, we really want to take an approach where it's not just shot, reverse shot, two people talking in a room. We wanted to make it like very interesting, and we want to really draw like the drama, like the little bits of horror. I think it's going to have like a lot of little inserts and just like interesting compositions, maybe where we're not always seeing the face, maybe it's like close-ups, just to keep things interesting and kind of like highlight the uncomfortableness that both people, you know, that the judge is feeling, and yeah, I don't know, just kind of highlight those emotions in that way.
Yeah.
It's a ticking clock situation. So there's going to be this amplification as it goes, and we want to kind of start a little more traditionally, and then things just get more abstract, messier, wilder, and just really
Yeah.
kind of create, really plug the audience into the situation.
Yeah. And do you have any like inspirations from like films or TV shows or, something that, is kind of like this kind of story? Or I mean, or is it like real life? This is like based on, what we're dealing with now. I don't know if there's any influence that you could talk to.
Well, I would say, I mean, visually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, it's just, I don't know. My brain is just like literally like 1,000 movies kind of like vying for, no,
Right.
it's me, like
Yeah.
this kind of thing.
Well, you could talk about the movement thing, the like or whatever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, there's been a lot of one of the things that's been really cool about this process and our process in general, which is like very organic and it's just very open.
Mhm.
And I was watching Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood, and one of the things that Kurosawa does in that is he incorporated Japanese no theater into the movement of his leads. So the wife, she has these scenes where she's like half a beat slowed down. And it's just very unusual. It creates like this very unusual atmosphere, and it kind of makes you kind of anxious and tense. And it's very otherworldly. And so Cassie and I started talking about this of just like, what if we kind of like play with like the movement of the character to just kind of create this unsettling atmosphere, of how she's moving. And she's human, obviously, but just, how can we kind of like tweak this? How can we bend this just a little bit and then speed it up, and have her kind of, shift into these moments where she's faster to kind of keep the audience off balance of like, what's going on with this crazy woman, So again, it's kind of like just feeding into this atmosphere of unpredictability and tension, So I mean, there's a lot of influences, but I mean, we both like a lot of modern stuff. Cassie and I both love Adrian Lyne, who's not necessarily like the most fashionable, like hip director, but he's just got such a sumptuous image.
Yeah.
And
What
I
has
love,
he done again? Can you
he
remind
did
me?
like Flashdance, he did like
Yes. Okay. I love that
like,
movie, but I'm like
yeah,
a
so there's
huge
just a
fan,
really
so.
cool, I love directors that create worlds. Like I'm a huge like Tony Scott and Ridley Scott fan, and how they always use like location as character, and they're always thinking about atmosphere and ambience and texture. And that's kind of one of the things that like Amy and I really vibe on is like, we totally like both are really into that, and just like how can we kind of like tweak this little bit, or how can we kind of like get some little visual flair in here, because that's the beauty, because we want something beautiful, it isn't just taking cues from like, oh, this looks like Christopher Nolan, and oh, this looks like this other guy. Just try to find something, try to make something that's its own thing, that's unique, it's distinct, that stands on its own.
Yeah, and the script is really important, and it seems like, based on how Amy is reacting, that this is a really good script, and I feel like that's the magic, like getting a good script, and then also just having like letting the story lead the way, and so I think that's really exciting. Yeah, and then a question I always ask in all my interviews is, what do you hope people see in your film? Like yes. So I don't know if you could speak to that. Maybe we could start with you, Cassie.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I hope they see themselves, and I hope they see, I don't know if you've seen that viral video that's been going around recently where the woman's like cooking in the kitchen. She's like, my neighbor had a baby and I just realized I'm the village. And like, I love the idea of there being this support network of people that like have, a common goal and help each other. And whether that's vigilante justice or cooking for your neighbor, whatever it is, like, I just think community is so important. So I hope they get the sense that like people still care and people still, want things to change.
I think this is a very important film. And Miles, what do you hope people see in your film?
I suppose it boils down to just not feeling despair in the face of corruption.
Mhm.
realizing that, that's not the end,
Yeah.
and that, there's always hope. There's always another way, and there's always a potentiality of something better.
Yeah. I love that. And Amy?
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah, I really like the concept of just women uplifting other women, and forming that sense of community. I think that's like very important. And, I've been very fortunate in my life to have like really important people supporting me. So, yeah, I think just like gaining a sense of hope, a sense of community just from watching this.
Yeah, that's great. And then what's your timeline? Like, when would you hope to get started with your production?
So if people watch this and they're like, oh, let's give them all the money right now,
Yeah.
we would shoot it ASAP. Like we would just
Okay.
do it
Okay.
because we want the David Pasquesi is in, we're trying to get him to play the judge.
Oh,
And
cool.
he
Yeah.
travels time. So it's either like we have to go before he leaves for his TJ and Dave shows in August, or he gets back like in November. So we'll have to shoot at that point if we don't get money.
And would you be getting, like, I know you guys are the producers, but would you be bringing in any additional people? Like if people are watching this and like, oh, I'm interested in producing this, are you open to people stepping in as like
Yeah.
producers? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
our door is absolutely open.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I think that would be great. I feel like this is a project that, they're the producers I know, like, and that's the thing with Cinema Femme. Like, I feel like we have a lot of industry people that watch our reader stuff, and so that's good that this is an opportunity for somebody to step in and support. So, yeah. And then, are there any other ways that you need support for this project besides money and potential producer?
I mean, all the ways. Like,
Okay. Okay.
I think it's gonna take a lot of really great, talented editors, sound designers, like that. We're gonna need everybody. So
Okay, that's
Fun.
great.
It would be really helpful
Yeah.
if people could share the link to the campaign on their social media.
Yes.
They're,
Okay.
that would be
vibing with
huge
what we're talking
too.
about,
Yeah.
and they think it sounds cool. We would so appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. And if I know that other fundraisers I've seen, people have like a little blurb that people can copy and paste in their social media. So maybe you guys can add that to your GoFundMe, and then I could put it in the feature as well. So like if you want to promote this on social media, use this language or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, this is exciting, and I am excited to get this up. I want to get this up tomorrow, so I'll send you the link once it's up. Yeah, and then send me your headshots and bios if you have them. And then yeah, I'll put the info that's not in the Seed and Spark, the GoFundMe page. Sorry. Yeah, but I will take the info from the GoFundMe and put it in the feature. So thank you for speaking with me, and I'm excited to champion this project of yours.
Thank you so much. It was really, really nice of you to offer to do this. Like,
Of
We appreciate it.
course.
hopefully, really,
I love like this kind of creativity because we need stuff like this right now, and this is a very important project. And yeah, I mean, it's good to see something original that's timely and important, and also good character stories are very much needed. So yes, I'm excited, and thank you for speaking with me. And I
Thank
hope
you.
you guys have a great evening, and I'll send you the link for the feature once it's up.
Okay.
All right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you later.